It's time once again to go racing.
It does not get any better than this.
The pressure is really on now.
Yes, it's pole position. Lights out and we're racing in PSGL.
The first lap has been absolute chaos.
What an overtake.
Oh no!
I've never seen anything like it.
Side by side again. This will be settled right at the end.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome along to PSGL Season 30. This is the F2 tier on the PlayStation platform, and the drivers have got to make sure that they're on it with their one-lap pace tonight as they head to Monte Carlo for the Monaco Grand Prix. My name is Jess, and joining me, as per usual, we have got Owen Wyatt. Owen, how are you doing?
Hello, Jess. Hello, viewers. And yes, we're here at Monaco. I'm very much looking forward to this one. Cannot wait.
Yeah, so last time we were here in Monaco at PSGL was in Season 27, and I remember in both the tiers that we commentated on, because we were both in separate tiers commentating at the time, we both had spectacular races, and the PC side last week, the F1 tier especially, was absolutely insane, so I'm expecting some great action tonight. If you missed last week's action, we were at Silverstone last week, and Valentin managed to do one better than the week before. He got no penalties and managed to secure the race win over Baraka in P2, and I have to say it was a very, very good win at that as well. And another time where the person who didn't start on pole position won the race. So we've had two different pole sitters, two different winners, and each of them belong to Baraka and Valentin. I don't know what's up with him this season, but Valentin seems to be on it than last season. Maybe it's just a fresh start for him. Maybe it's just a new year and he just wants to get things on the right track again. But Valentin seems to be on it this season more than last season.
Yeah, he's definitely been there before in terms of quali pace, but it was always getting to the end of races, which was his problem. And he's got that problem solved now, and so we're seeing his full potential. Definitely got the pace to go for the title this season. Is only the 1 point behind Baraka, and I think this is a track which will really test the best drivers, and so it'll really test these top two in the championship. Can they further extend their gap and sort of put themselves out there as the main contenders? We'll see how it all goes out, but so far, I'm going to touch wood on it, Valentin is looking, finally, like he is fulfilling his potential.
Yeah, he is. So Baraka is leading on 28 points over Valentin in second place. We've got Santieri in third. Despite the fact that he didn't score any points last week, that second place in Portugal was enough to still get him in the top three of the championship. The top two are basically running away with it at the moment in the championship. Santieri is the best of the rest at the moment. Louis sitting in fourth in the championship on 10 points, with Legend having a good podium last week in fifth position. Then we got CC Brain, Kazizel, Devin and Andrew all on 8 points. And then we got Tom in 10th position, Kryptonite in 11th position. We got Ricky in 12th. And then everybody else, Cohen, Ablaze, Alexis, Azzy, Dino, Eltink and Yannick yet to score. And Pat will be making his tier 2 debut for the first time in a while tonight. It's his first race this season after missing the first 2 rounds, so good to have him back. And we've also got 2 reserves tonight as KJ, Eltink and Yannick are not able to make it. So we've got Jax in the Williams, and we've got Nicole Thorough, who was making his debut last week. No, other way around. So we've got Jackson in the McLaren, Nicolo is in the Williams, so good to see them both reserving once again. And Jax has been here the whole season as well. Let's see if he can keep up his round of form, because Jack was on some good battles last week too. But we are about to get underway with qualifying. And it looks like we got a dry qualifying session.
Yep, dry qualifying session, and all the drivers are streaming out of the pits as quickly as they possibly can. And I imagine a few of them will be doing a sort of a first lap on the mediums and then 3 laps on the softs. It's a track that's so short that you can get away with that. And so I imagine that's what they're going to do, and that would also tell me that it will be staying as a dry session because you wouldn't go out for a medium run if there was any rain coming. And so, yeah, we're about to see how busy this track's going to get. And it's going to be like that for the whole race as well, so they've got to really get used to this. The walls are so tight, but their competitors, if we base it on what we've seen here before and how well the league's put together with how people's paces are, you'll be seeing trains the whole time, so they've really got to make sure they know what they're doing tonight.
Yes, the stewards have warned a few drivers on certain things in the drivers' briefing. In qualifying, drivers should always leave a car width between themselves and the wall on the right to avoid causing a collision with cars exiting the pits. And if a driver is caught during his in or out lap by a driver who's on a hot lap who didn't let them pass in the following zones, turn 1 to 3, turn 4 to 5, 8 to 10, 11 to 12 and turn 16, to turn 18, they should not put themselves on the inside of the two chicanes to let cars through. If they do, it's a visual impairment and they might be penalised. So it will keep an eye on those during the race, as Legend will be the first person on a lap, and he's on the medium compounder tyres. Like I said earlier, got his first podium last week, doing a good job so far, and let's see what he could do here tonight.
Yep, we'll see how he gets on. I think he was a bit unlucky, wasn't he, in the end, that he couldn't make an attack on the front two because of the way the safety cars panned out. He couldn't use ERS that he had saved up, so he certainly proved he's got the pace to rumble the front runners, so hopefully that will lead to some good things. This first lap should be a relatively calm one. I wouldn't expect to see him sliding about and sort of fighting the car. This is all about just making sure he's got a lap on the board. We've seen it for the first couple of races this season. It is so important to have those bankers. I mean, Valentine in the season opener, he got pole position with his second time. Wasn't even his final time. That second lap was good enough, and he did that before in Canada last season. And it is tracks like this where it's easy to make mistakes, where your final lap isn't necessarily going to be the fastest one, so every single one counts.
Yes, as we have got Legend coming towards the final corner now, as we've got someone who's got a quality back this week, so he won't be taking part in qualifying, but Legend sets the first time on the board. Generally a banker time when it's time. Times will be getting quicker as the session goes on. 1 minute 9.104. First time on the softs belongs to Devon with a 109.4. So already the medium tyres seem to be the faster tyre right now on the circuit, but Andrea tops the timing sheets with a 109.0. Expects to see more people in the 108 heading into this first part of the qualifying session, as Valentine, unfortunately, has invalidated his first one. So the man who was on form last week is not seen to be on form this week at the moment. He's down in 17th place, not to set a lap. We've got Louis, who's just passed the Rascas now. He needs to have a better results. Well, he's had some good results in the last couple of weeks. Let's see what he could do here. Up to the line, 109.3 puts him into P6. We've got an Alpine about to start, I think is yeah, both Alpines are on their outlaps right now. Dino, I believe, has invalidated his run. Yes, he has, so he will probably have to go over again very shortly. And I don't see why people couldn't invalidate, but I think people couldn't invalidate here, as Nico Soro has just proved, and through the tunnel as well, where we see people get caught out with track limits, so we'll keep an eye on that. But we're seeing a McLaren up to the line. That was Jack's up to the line with a 109.505. His second lap on the medium tyres, but tyre did quite low around it. Not surprised that he's gone on to lap on the mediums, but he doesn't have that much choice in the race. As long as he uses those fresh mediums he's got in the race, he should be fine. So can't see him 10th for now, but expect his time to be very, very quick.
It is absolutely hectic on track at the minute. I mean, you can already see what the problems the drivers are facing, where actual trains of cars were lining up behind each other just to let other cars through. They're really doing a decent job of it, as Cohen, I think, has just been in the wall at the start of the swimming pool and on the end of the swimming pool. He is racing for McLaren tonight. The only team so far to have no points on the board, and if he keeps hitting the walls, it will stay that way. Hoping that obviously McLaren don't become the next Haas. We don't think that's going to happen, but still, not the best start of the session for him. But it's stuff he learns on the track on the first run, which will be useful on the second run because he won't do it then. So the experience is always useful, regardless of if it messes your first lap up. And Nicolo is heading around the final corner. and he's on the soft compound tires. According to the game, he'd set a purple sector. Let's see if he can keep the speed up. Yes, he can. He's gone up to P1 on a 1 minute 8.8. And who else is on the lap? I saw CC Brave was one of the ones waiting in the train with, I believe it was Andre, who's gone second. Earlier on, and now CC Brain has joined him in the top 10, going 9th. Most drivers then do have a time on the board. Only 5 don't, that being Cohen, Pat Schneider, Valentine, and then Ati and Alexis, who are no longer in the session, or at least in the on the track. They will be probably still in the race, though, hopefully.
Yeah, they will. Azzy definitely is not doing a qualifying session today because he was a very naughty boy in the steward's office last week, so he's received a quali ban. I need to actually find out what caused his quali ban, and I think he got some license points as well. And I think he caused a collision with Andrea and Santiago on lap 25, turn 3, going side by side, and it made it 3 wide going through there, and he caused a collision with those two. So, and the stewards believed that Azzy was fully to blame for this incident, so he has done what he needs to do, did an outlap, and then come into the pits as well. Alexis, I need to check if he's got a quali ban as well. Yes, he has got a quali ban. So both the people that have retired have got quali ban. So no one has retired on circuit yet, which is good. We've got more people about to finish off their laps. We've got a Red Bull of Kryptonite, who is going to start his outlap. We've got Pat, who just grazed the wall a little bit there before Raskas, and yeah, he's going into the pits. Got a bit of damage there. Anyone else about to finish off their laps? I think Ricky is going into the pit. Dino's on 3-lap-old sauce, which is kind of unexpected, to be honest, but he wasn't very happy with his lap. He hasn't had a lap hooked to get it in the 108s yet, so let's hope he can improve in a second. Legend up to Raskas now. We'll see if he can get into the 108s too. He was very, very close in that middle sector. Could he have a magnificent final sector? We will see. Yes, he does. A 108.775. Not the fastest in the final sector though, but fastest overall by just under a tenth to his Williams teammate for tonight.
Yeah, there's definitely more time in that lap for Legend. He lost nearly 2 tenths on his own best final sector, and that's 2 tenths that Tom has put on him. So there is the benchmark from the Aston Martin driver. Legend, he knows he can reach those heights. He's just got to hook it all up in the end, but that's some proper bankers now. You can sort of go more full send for the last laps, knowing that you've got these big times on already. We'll see how everyone else gets on. Still a few people on out laps, but there are definitely a cluster of cars who are on flying laps. I'm just trying to see who will be the first one to finish their lap. Actually, we do have a McLaren coming around the final corner. That might be Jax. No, it's actually his teammate. So Jax is going on his own lap. So I think actually it might well be the Mercedes, I want to say, of a Blaze, who is going purple in the middle sector. And we'll see if he can get himself up to P1, or at least on towards that front row as he heads through the last corner. Keeps it all neat and tidy. A little bit of a slide as he heads out, but across the line he goes. Oh, very close, but just goes P2. Definitely can make that work though, as Valentine starts his lap, and well, like I says, he has been the man in qualifying sessions so far. Last season and this season he's proven his worth, and he needs to put this Ferrari on pole really to have the best chance of winning, of course, because that track position is so key, and we know he's capable of it. So let's see what he'll do.
Yes, Ian, Dean, I have to say, qualifying is even more important on this track than any other track on the PSGL Season 30 calendar. So the stat for people qualifying on pole not winning the race may change tonight. So Valentine, one of the only drivers, one of the 3 drivers to not set a lap time right now is Andrea, who's now on pole at the moment with a 108.3. So Valentine passed the tunnel section now as well. So little margin for error around this track, and Valentine just got to keep it off the walls as he heads towards a little bit of a bump. He struggled a little bit there, and he is invalidated once again. He just can't seem to be hooked around this track at the moment, which is not what you want for a guy that's chasing Baraka in the championship. Meanwhile, Baraka's not doing very, very well either. Kylie's sitting in P10, so we could see a change in the old guard closing up to Baraka and Valentine in the standings. Like we said earlier, the top 2 are just basically running away with it with the championship, and if these 2 bottle it tonight, good chance for the people like Santieri and the likes of Legend, Devon to really start to close up on this championship fight as well, because pretty much everybody else's points are like a podium's worth or something like that put together as well. So good chances for people to get their first podium of the season today in one of the hardest tracks on the calendar, as more people are about to finish their laps as well. Dino as well, who had a very good fair share of battles last week. He's got his Alpine car. I don't think you're meant to be giving a tow, my friend, to the Alpine there. He may get in trouble there by the stewards. For those of you that are new to PSGL, slipstreaming is not allowed. It's banned for every single tier on PC and PlayStation. So if he was given an advantage, yeah, he probably didn't realise as Dino's hit the wall on his flying lap there. So he probably will be going into the pits there. So
yeah, I doubt there was any slipstreaming going on, because on this track, if you even think of like trying slipstream, I mean, where are you even going to do it in that last sector? I don't think that was the plan anyway for the Alpines, so I don't think there's anything worth looking at for the stewards there. Still, it is interesting to point out, because maybe people would try it here, because you'd think no one's going to expect it out of us, but still, we've mentioned it now, so no one can do it.
Yeah, exactly. 6 minutes left to go as Nicole Sorrow, one of the only 2 retirements from last week in Silverstone, was very, very unlucky to get that. He was just on a very unlucky race, to be honest, with incidents. But he still kept going up to a point. But surely, if there's a race where you've got to keep going and finishing, that is Monaco. You're more than likely going to be scoring some decent points. So, and he wasn't on a good lap anyway, so he is probably going to go again. I think everybody now is going to be going into the pits, unless you're Tom. Tom's on the lap, actually. He's purple in the first sector, so he's looking very, very quick so far. The man who finished second in F3 last season and barely missed out to Devon, who was obviously the F3 champion. Tom almost invalidated in that tunnel section, but he clipped the curve very, very nicely in that tunnel section as well. So he gained a lot of time there as well. Purple in the middle sector as well. This could be pole position, well, provisional pole for the Aston Martin driver. He's only a few tenths off Van Dreyer, but this looks like an almighty lap. If he can get together past Anthony No, which he does, can he get pole position? Yes, he can, by 1 tenth. He improved by 3 tenths there. It's a 108.255. Pretty much purple in all 3 sectors. He just looks so comfortable out there. That was a very, very good lap from the guy that moved up from F3 last season.
Yep, and there's that time that you needed to find in that last sector just to get that little bit more time cleared, and he's found it, and there's the result. 1 tenth clear. Let's see if we can keep it. Will we be even approaching the 1 minute 7s, I wonder, by the end of the session? It would really need a monumental lap, but you just never know what we'll get around here. Who else is actually on a lap? I think most are looking at in laps, aren't they? With
Jax.
Not very long left to go. Jax is on a lap for McLaren. Oh, he's in the wall. That'll be into the pits now, because there'll be no way he'll have no damage from that yet. His front right's broken, unfortunately. Don't hit the wall too many times in frustration as well, because you can accidentally knock a tyre off, and that'd be a really embarrassing way to lose your qualifying session. Kryptonite is on a lap as well, and looks to be locking up a little bit into the Rascas. It wasn't the ideal line for him through there, but he is still going to get across the line to finish the lap. Let's see where he goes. He's currently P11, goes up to P9. Without that little lock-up, he could have made 1 or 2 more positions, so he'll know there's time in that. He'll have to rush it back to the pits, though. I think he'll have time. It's a short enough track, but he might be a little bit on the bubble there. And it means when he goes out for his last out lap, he might not have much time to actually move out of people's way. So he might not be in for a very easy end to this session if he decides to go one more time, because people are already starting to go out. So this is where it gets tricky, because they're going to have to weave their way through everyone who's all trying to go fast at the same time. There's none of this people on in-laps. That they don't exist anymore at this point in the session.
Yes, it is quite a short lap, so Kryptonite could get away with it, but it's going to be a bit of a push for one of the lead directors and head steward of PSGL, so setting a prime example. Well, he did get a penalty last week because he got reported and he got a penalty, so head stewards don't get excused for incidents. If you're found to be at fault, well, you do get a penalty regardless if you're staff, steward or admin or anything like that. So surely he wants a cleaner race, as we got more people on laps now to start off their final laps. Well, they're going out quite early, but like you said, track position is key, and if you don't get a lap put together now with lots of traffic on the track, lots of cars on the track, then you could be in a lot of trouble, as Tom has retired, actually.
Yeah.
So...
Tom seemingly happy enough with his time. How is that for confidence there? Because he might well have had time to go back out again, but now he's seen his time and he's seemingly going to be happy with it. And so that would intimidate me, frankly, as a driver, to see the guy P1 has just retired from the session before the final runs. He's that confident that he's going to be P1. That is, I like that. I have an outrage run out of tires, but let's just pretend he's doing it because he's so happy with his time. Andrea's out there at the minute. He's had to possibly abandon a lap look, so that's already problems near the end of the session for him, but he will have obviously another try as he starts to get... final sector right now are not on flying laps. I'm trying to find the first one who would be. Possibly the McLaren. No,
Santieri just crossed the line.
Good. Sorry, I didn't even notice that. Yeah, you're right. Santieri's gone P4. Who else is going to be out there? We've got
McLaren on a lap, I think, or was it his out lap? Let me have a look.
Out lap, yeah.
It was his out lap. So Alpine next, Ricky, up to the line. What could he do?
Oh, Alblaze is probably just drifted into the pits, actually. Interesting. Who actually is first? They're all struggling. Kazizel also struggling. People are pulling into the pits still, in fact. Are we actually going to get any final laps here from many of these guys? They are really struggling. A lot of invalidations going on. Devin is out there, a little bit down, and doesn't improve on his lap in the end, possibly because of ERS levels. Who would be next? Raka on a slow one. He's going to try one more lap. Who's that just behind? Louis will go again as well, because he's invalidated. And CC Brain, he is still going. Crypto's on an out lap. More cars into the pits. Andrea going again, but invalid again. Will Valentine finally be able to get a lap on the board? It needs to be pretty special. He's only got 10 seconds to go, but the ERS would suggest he's not going to get another proper lap in, so this has to be it. And it's only P7. Not what he was hoping for. He might as well keep going, but he's going to slow down. He hasn't got the ERS for it, as Jax goes P4, celebrates it by spinning effectively into turn 1. An interesting way of going about it. Oh, he's going to be right down there then, because the checkered flag is out, and it's last chances for everyone to get laps in. I think the car behind him is that Legend, and he's up by 1.5 tenths. Can he stick this on the front row? Can he stick it on pole? It's a big moment for the Williams driver. Showed his pace last week. Can he now get himself onto pole position in Monaco? What a lap this would be. Tom's time, 1 minute 8.2, and it's not beaten. Legend stays P3. And the further we get on here, the more Tom's confidence has been proven, because no one's even got really that close to his time, and others seemingly aren't going fast enough to improve. Kryptonite, the last one across the line, I think, is he on a proper lap? I think that is, and he has only gone up to P10, which would drop Nicolo into the first driver who has tyre choice, which is interesting, because here, that could be very, very useful to you. But that is Tom on pole then, with a 1 minute 8.2 here in Monaco. Not quite able to get into the sevens. It would have taken a monstrous lap, in fairness. But that was tricky to follow, wasn't it?
Yeah, because we weren't sure if people were on good laps or if there were people that binned it. I'm not sure, but to be fair, Tom's confidence was definitely justified there as well. He retired with about 3 minutes, 2 minutes to go. He said, yeah, I don't think no one could beat my time, and usually sometimes it backfires. Like last season, a few people did that, saying, yeah, I'll get pole position, and they fall down to 5th or something. Tom's lap was apparently his personal best ever around Monaco as well, so Tom feels like he couldn't improve even more, which I have to say, fair play to the guy, and he's definitely one of the favourites to win this race today.
That is a special lap then from Tom. I mean, that takes so much skill, actually, to be able to set your best ever lap in the qualifying session itself, because you do hundreds of laps of practice, and for it all to come together in the actual qualifying lap itself, that's impressive. And it's put him on pole. From Andrea in 2nd, Legend 3rd, Jax 4th, Santry 5th, Ablaze 6th, CC Brain and Kryptonite in 10th. Nicolo will get the tyre choice in 11th place, could be crucial for this race. Baraka in 12th, Ricky 13th, Kazizel, Cohen, Louis, Dino, Pat, Azzy, and Alexis is the rest of the grid. And Barack in P12. That's an interesting spot as well because he also has that free tire choice. If he gets to jump on Nicola at the start, he could still be in a strong position for the race.
Yes, and the alternate strategy, well, we did see around Monaco in the F1 tier. It almost worked. But there was a driver that was leading on the hard compounded tyres, and he was able to get to the end and hold the people on the softer tyres behind him as well. We saw like that with Daniel Ricciardo as well, who had little power. I think it was on 2019, where he had little power and he was still able to keep the likes of Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen behind him as well. Lewis Hamilton in 2020, he did exactly the same thing. He was on all the mediums. We were wondering, would he get to the end on those tyres? He definitely did, and it was a good final lap battle actually between Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton around Monaco. So there's loads of things that could happen, so many possible strategies. It's an easy one stop here, soft to mediums or medium to softs. People do not want to touch the hards, but if people get damaged, that is a fallback option because the hards, they can last 35 laps around it. The mediums, they can last probably just about as long if there's a safety car, but we'll have to wait and see. But it is an easy one stop today.
Yep, and I imagine if we get any sort of safety car, there's a good chance you'd see the entire field into the pits if it happens before the first pit stops are scheduled. So that is something I'll be thinking about because safety cars here, they tend to be quite common. If someone sticks it in the wall, you'll get a safety car. And obviously a few teams will have drivers relatively close to each other. Because surely they'll have thought about this because let's see what tires everyone's starting on. I am expecting no surprises here. It should be relatively simple strategies. Baraka, the only one on the hard compound tyre, so his plan I suppose is to wait for the safety car maybe to come later in the race and then pit then. Regardless, he should still have the pace to hold on to this pack anyway, and maybe he'll rely on his overtaking. He'll engage some sort of Raikkonen 2013 style mode where he can actually overtake the people, so his strategy will be interesting. Nicolo, Ricky, Kazizel, Cohen and Pat are the other ones on mediums. The rest of the field are on the softs. And that'll be the first time this season then we've had all three tyre compounds to start the race, wouldn't it?
Yeah, we haven't seen many people on the hards this season because we've seen in Silverstone there was no point using the hards at all in the race at the start of the race because the hards around Silverstone in Portugal, they're not the best race start tyre. Whereas around here, it can work. Some people like the hards around here, some people don't. And Baraka seems to love it. Well, he wants to keep on to his championship lead. Well, he needs a miracle, to be honest, because he's got his nearest championship rival of Valentin in P8. So as it stands, Valentin will be ahead of Baraka in the standings if the race was to run like this. Hopefully Baraka won't get no points. Hopefully he'll get some points in this session. Same with Valentin as well. Valentin and Baraka are out of position. Same with the likes, I would say, Kazizel and Dino as well. We want to see how Pat does as well in his first race. In F2 for a while after being promoted from F3, and we'll see how Tom could do at pole position on the very first time in the second top tier as well, and Andrea getting his best qualifying result of the season as well. So all cars lining up the grid. Let's get these 39 laps of Monaco underway.
This should be something special. We have the mics coming on, all five of them. Tom from Andrea on the front row. It's the Monaco Grand Prix. And we are underway. This run to turn one is so important. And Tom has got it right. He should be okay. But look at Legend on the inside of Andrea. Is there going to be contact? There is a little tap. But the Williams driver is into the wall. And that could cause a safety car. Luckily he goes, so it should only be him that takes damage. But Jax is up into second place. There's still more fighting going on. Some side by side as they head through the casino section. But apart from the car that crashed at the start being Legend, they seem to all be okay so far. But they are going to have to navigate the Williams, and that's a shocking start. He looked like it's a big pile up and multiple front wings gone at the hairpin. That'll be 5 or 6 cars now into the pits. Was Valentin involved, or was Baraka involved, I should say? He's at the front of all that. I think he's okay, but a few cars behind him, pretty much from Cohen down, I'd say. In fact, even Pat down. All with no front wings. Absolute madness on the first lap. But somehow no safety car. And somehow still 20 drivers in the race. And actually Alexis in the middle of all this, he's got a full front wing. So he's just got to be patient. Yes, he'll lose time now, but do not crash with a car that hasn't got a front wing.
Exactly, my oh my, look at the carnage that happened in the background as well. Turn 5 was kind of like a train on the M25 or something like that. So we'll see a lot of the drivers that had front wing damage going to the pits, Baraka being one of them, Ricky as well.
I thought he'd escaped it, but he hadn't. That could be a big blow because he can't go onto hard tyres. He started on them.
Yeah, so he's pretty much screwed his strategy, does Baraka as well, which I did question it at the start of the race. He shouldn't be on that tyre, but he's probably regretted it now, whereas his rivals, Louis, Pat and Azzy, also had front wing damage. They had the choice of going onto the mediums, which technically could get to the end from here, so they'll probably do a one stop, but it's going to be very difficult. Tom had an almighty start to turn 1. Everyone else was caught napping with the likes of Andrea. Andrea dropped it down into 4th position, which was not the best start. Jax had the best start of anyone as well, up to P2. So we got a Shazoo 1-2 at the moment, but Tom just keeping in there, hanging in there at the moment. This could be a very good battle between the Shazoo teammates, because they're not teammates in the constructors, but they do talk together in the Shazoo chat, and if they do make contact with each other, it's not going to look good at the end of the race, I can tell you that, as we're starting to see more people closing up. Santieri's also had a good start of the race. He's up into 5th position as well. Pretty much the top 11 got away with no significant damage at all, and the only medium runner still in this race is one of the only 2 guys to a DNF last week, Nicolo Soro. So for him, it couldn't have gone any better. Great start from him.
No, this, I'm not entirely sure it's going to happen, but I wonder if anybody in this top 11 is now considering 9 cars have all pitted, all of them going for new front wings, meaning that if any of these 11 pit, they'll come out into pretty clean air. And this could be where you see some massive undercuts possibly being triggered by the likes of Andrea, who's falling back a little bit. I wonder if he has a bit of damage perhaps from that starting incident. But a driver here could pit and make their way back up since they're in free air, and then make a massive undercut because the track position is so key, and having that massive gulf in the middle of the pack, that could be worth so much. And I'm surprised Andrea is so slow. Has he got much damage? Because he's really letting the top 3 get away.
He is as well, and it looks like Century is a lot faster than Andrea at the moment, but he couldn't get the move down on the inside into Sandoval as well. Jeff said no heroics into Sandoval. Well, it looked like it happened just after Sandoval in lap 1 as Baraka got past Kazizel then up into P12 on those softer medium compounded tyres. Kazizel there seems to be struggling on those hard a little bit there. So we got our first time penalty, well, first track limit penalties from Pat Schneider and Cohen as well. So their races have gone from bad to worse at the moment as well. So we're starting to see people, it's kind of like damage attrition for some of these guys now. They just got to survive. They made it through the first part, the top 11, but crucially they just got to keep in their rhythm and make sure they can keep those cars behind. Mainly for Tom, he must be under huge pressure right now to make sure he keeps it that way, because still Jack is within DRS of Tom, due to the fact it's hard to overtake. Jack is staying behind as Cohen's got another penalty. Tom's in the pits. Tom is in the pits. Early undercut.
He's the one who's pulled the trigger then. I said it was going to happen early because of the massive gulf that these guys can drop themselves back into. Watch this. The space that you're going to see for Tom to come back into the race. Potentially Alexis might ruin this, but apart from Alexis, the rest of the field is going to be nowhere. In fact, there's a chance that Tom might possibly get there. No, he might not get there in front of Alexis. Okay, so it hasn't worked out as amazingly as you might expect, but the next car behind him, in an actual having already pitted, is only exiting the final corner now, and that is Baraka. And so that is what you're working with here. That's the massive gulf of space, and it means that the undercut that Tom's just pulled, assuming Alexis doesn't block him too much, should pretty much guarantee him the lead of the race again. But this time loss could be crucial, because look at him, he's climbing all over the back of Alexis. Will he be brave enough to go for a move? Will Alexis, on those still relatively new softs, have the grip to defend? I'd say yes. So let's see, will Tom go for a dive? Yes, he will! Oh, he's crashed into him! And the net race leader, he went for the first opportunity. It was never really going to work, was it? Because Alexis had so much grip, and he's crashed into him. and we lose another front wing in this race. Not as much as others, but still more than enough to necessitate a pit stop as Valentine pits. Jax now, with his 3.2 second lead over Andrea, now only has to worry about, who would he have to worry about? That would surely be, actually, effectively Santry now, wouldn't it? Santry and Ablaze, the two people that he'd be fighting for this win with, and well, he was already ahead of them, so it depends on their undercuts now. And Ablaze, he is the one now, enjoying that space, thanks to Tom clearing the path.
There we go, and Ablaze has not scored any points this season. For Mercedes, the only person to score points for Mercedes in the Constructors' Championship is Baraka. So Baraka needs someone to be there if Baraka can't score as many points, and Ablaze is definitely doing that right now. Baraka's in a net P4 as well, so this race has turned pretty much okay for Baraka, but he's got to think about, obviously, another pit stop, because those mediums, I doubt that will get to the end, whereas Ablaze could just about get to the end as well. But Ablaze had a little bit more of a gap to the likes of Tom had to Alexis, so that is why he's able to absolutely just increase the gap wherever he goes on those fresher tyres. Same with Santry as well. We're seeing more drivers in as well. CC Brain, Devon, Andrew in as well. Jackson Kryptonite are staying out on track then. So they think probably about lap 10, but the longer they stay out, the more that they're going to be vulnerable to everybody else's undercut. Santry has set the fastest lap. Surely that's a sign for Jackson Kryptonite to come in, as Kryptonite almost lost it there. I don't think it's got any damage though, but surely the top two now on track, they've got to come in now.
Yeah, they have got a pit. I mean, I think Valentine's been able to successfully do the undercut on Andrea, look. So that's sort of what you're working with. Valentine, of course, doesn't have a penalty to have to worry about. And Tom's speeding in the pits, and he's retired from the session as well. What a shame. Nicolo, right now, he's obviously on these mediums. He's been on them since the start. With the amount of crashing that's going on, surely he's feeling quite confident, because it only takes one more crash after these top two pit, and he'll be able to pit for tyres under a safety car. As Jax does pit, will Kryptonite follow in, and will this let Nicolo take the lead? No, not yet. So Kryptonite will take the lead briefly, but right now, Nicolo's strategy, he's pretty much the only one left on the alternate strategy, because the other 9 crashed on the first lap. It's just a totally bizarre situation. We've never seen this before, anything like this. And Nicolo, he won't be complaining. He will not be complaining. But he's now not going to copy what Tom did. Stay patient, because the race will come to you.
Yes.
He hits the wall as I say that.
Oh, commentator's curse for Owen Wyatt as we said that.
It's just with the rear tyre, it'll be fine. But stop hitting walls.
Yeah, he seems to be alright though. He's not struggling as much as we were expecting, so that's good. He's able to keep within Kryptonite's slipstream at the moment, but yeah, I agree.
By the way, look at Ablaze, by the way. He's made nearly 3 seconds on Jax.
He has.
Jax hasn't been in the wall, has he? No, that is just the undercut for him. I mean, you can see how quickly they're catching Nicolo. That's why I'm saying the safety car is the most important bit. But even still, if this is what an undercut's like at the start of a race, you can imagine what Nicolo will be like on brand new softs against 20-odd lap old mediums. He'll just have to find a place to overtake. So that's just why I'm saying it'll still be strong. But yeah, in terms of the undercut, Jax, it was a bit silly to not pit early. I said it straight away. That's about who pits first. Ablaze pitted first, well second. He didn't crash though. You know, he pitted with Tom, escaped the carnage, is put him in the net lead of the race now. So, if that's how it's worked out. But unfortunately for Nicolo, Kryptonite still hasn't pitted yet. And that obviously will shuffle Kryptonite to the back of this pack as well. So, again, is he waiting for a safety car as well? It's a bit of an odd strategy if he is, at this point. The boat's sailed now.
Yeah, I think the risk has gone, and you got to take your bet and lie in it. So Kryptonite, I think if I was him, I would pit now, and I think Soro is probably a little bit worried about why is he not going into the pits as well. So we'll have to wait and see. But we are going to be potentially seeing an on-track battle for P11, because I think they both have 3-second time penalties, Cazizle and Ricky. People not taking any risks at the moment, like we saw with Tom and Alexis earlier on as well. But for Tom, I have to agree with some people in the chat as well. Tom should have waited to go for the move as soon as Alexis would have pitted. If he did that, he would have stayed ahead and he would have tried and had a battle with the Blaze, in my opinion. And to be honest, Unfortunate that he DNF, but that incident will be investigated by the stewards then. Kryptonite, is he no, I think he stayed out. Yes, he has stayed out. What is he doing? I'm sure he must know something that I don't, because if there is a safety car, he could go back into this. If there's not, probably not. But
he's got to make sure that he doesn't get jumped by Baraka here, because Baraka will end up getting into his window. 21.6 seconds. That will be in the window shortly. So don't get jumped by even more cars. I don't know. I really don't know why he's not pitting that, because it's actively it's losing positions he should never even be concerned about in the first place. And if he ends up behind Baraka, that just proves how much time this is costing him, because he was in this train before. And he can't even catch Azzy, who's just come out of the pits. Look, that's Azzy in front of him, who's pulling away. Look how slow Kryptonite is. I don't know, he'd be...
Legends out of the race!
Well, that's in the pit lane, so that will cause a safety car. I bet Kryptonite's heart skipped a beat though, there, didn't it? Oh! Nicolo just tapped him a little bit as he was heading into the pit lane.
That was close.
But, yeah, I think this has obviously also cost Nicolo, because he wasn't expecting to have to sit behind him for so long. But he now finally does lead the race. And his race will be all about the last stint, of course, when he's on the fresh, quick, soft compound tyres. But look at how far Kryptonite falls back. Valentine, new front line for him as well. This helps Baraka, because it looked like Valentine was a safe bet to take the championship lead tonight. Not anymore. Baraka way ahead. The Kryptonite just about beat Baraka, so one more lap he would have been behind him.
Yes, I think if he stayed one more lap, Baraka would have been miles ahead by almost 2 seconds as well. So Valentine, I believe, is his second pit stop as well. Let's have a look actually how many pit stops people have made, because for some people it's actually quite a lot. Everyone has made a stop in this race apart from our on-track race leader. He's not the net race leader, he's your on-track race leader. Valentine has made the most out of everybody, as well as Azzy with 2 stops. But Valentine is still so close to potentially be getting points, whereas Azzy's race has gone from bad to worse, but at least he's still in this race, because the more time you're on this track, the more experience you get for future races you do around Monaco. Nice to see this train from P5 all the way down, I think, to P7. We've got Andrea, CC Brain and Devin. Kryptonite could have been that train as well if he did not stay out just a little bit longer on those soft tyres. The softs were absolutely dying. The mediums were definitely the fresher tyre right now, and that's a consequence as Devin almost hit the back of CC Brain into Zandvoort there. That was not good. We got the sister team fighting for P6 here, and they want to be the better team out of the Red Bull family, but we'll see if Devin wants to try and go for a move on the inside into the Mirabel hairpin, which he does not. So CC Brain manages to stay ahead, but this train is going to be on for quite a while, I think, because these drivers just can't seem to get past. But you don't want to take any risks, do you? So let's just see what goes on with these three throughout the rest of this race.
They'll all know what happened to Tom when he went for a move, so that'll possibly be playing on the mind, because I'm sure someone will have told him how that went down. Unfortunately, we're seeing again Andrea's pace just isn't quite there in race trim, is he? Because he's, well, the cause of this train, effectively, because they're all following him. Jack's 3.5 seconds ahead. He's not quite able to catch the fight for the lead as well. I say fight. I think Ablaze and Santry, they're basically just going to follow each other for the rest of this until one of them makes a mistake, perhaps. But they will catch Nicolo in a moment. Give it 2 or 3 laps. Perhaps that'll be Santry's chance. Santry could swoop in and take the championship lead after this, because he'll be on for the full 16 points. If he can get a fastest lap in there, which Kryptonite has at the moment, perhaps he could get himself into the championship fight. He is 16 behind Baraka, and Baraka is just about scoring points. But it would certainly add a third name into the championship fight, which is always nice to see. But yes, that's if he can win the race, of course, because right now he's net second.
Yes, because we saw Santry have a bad race in Silverstone, but we are seeing Valentine having a bad race here as well, so maybe it's cancelling it out for the Alfa Romeo driver, as Pat has another driver that's retired in the pit lane, so he has decided enough's enough for him. So we're down to 16 drivers in this race, as Devin hits another driver to put himself on the penalty board. 3 seconds for him. That's good news to Louis did and CC Brains as well, because CC Brain could just concentrate on Andrea as well. But I'm almost certain Devin want to get the move done on track anyway, so CC Brain will probably still be a little bit worried there, as we are on lap 14 out of 39 at the moment. And about lap 24, Niccolo will be thinking about going on those soft tyres. But if an early safety car comes up, maybe he'll probably be able to do it a little bit early, but it will be a bit of a push as well. As he goes into the pits once again for another front wing change and another set of the medium compounded tyres. Ricky is in as well. I believe that's also for front wing damage, but I do believe he has a set of hards available to him. He does. Nope, it is a front wing change, but him on the hards now is not the tyre that he wants to be on, but that's the only tyre he's got left. So he comes in, that will get to the end. Alexis comes in as well, another front wing change for the Ferrari driver too, but he has some fresh air mediums, and that should get to the end from here. So Ricky on the hards, Alexis though on the mediums, but at least they're still keeping going.
Yeah, anything can happen, so it's always worth still being in the race. We're nowhere near even the halfway point yet, so definitely worth sticking in, especially if we have, as we say, a safety car. Not guaranteed, of course, but it is always, well, we've been keeping it in the back of your mind the whole time because it can happen. So, yeah, always worth sticking with it. And, yeah, just nothing happening with Santry, is there? I mean, there's nothing really he can do, and ERS is actually quite difficult to save right here. You wouldn't expect it to be difficult, but you only save something like 10%, 15% a lap if you aren't using any. That takes a long time to save. And if you use one burst of ERS, that's your lot, really, and that'll set you back a lap or two. So it is really difficult, actually, to keep that under check as well. So really, if you are planning on a move, you really have to be sure about it. And that's why they will just sit there. Valentine is trying on Cazzizzle, and this is new-ish mediums against a lot older hards, and even now you can see how difficult an overtake is. But finally, Valentine does find the space. Oh, he's hit him into the wall, goes Cazzizzle. Valentine locked up in the brakes. There was nowhere Cazzizzle could go apart from the wall. I think Valentine might have to take the blame for that one. But that'll be a front wing needed for Cazzizzle, unfortunately, and he's got a long way to go to get back to the pits. Again, as I said, don't go hitting the walls in frustration now, because some people do that when they're trying just to get back and they know their race is in trouble and they go and hit the wall and knock themselves out. You've got to just stay in it now, because as frustrating as this moment is, this could happen to anyone else and it could put you right back into it. But, well, it's one way to get back into the points, I imagine, but I think the stewards will be having a look at Valentine for that.
Yes, and there was another Ferrari against another Aston Martin, so I think the Aston Martin versus Ferrari battle tonight is gone a bit spicy as well. We had Tom and Alexis. Tom had a bit of an issue with Alexis, and Alexis had a bit of an issue with Tom, and now it's Cazzizzle versus Valentine. So looks like the two team bosses will be having a chat at the end of this race, be like, what have you done? Looks like Aston Martin and Ferrari are looking to not score any points this race, and it was looking like it was going to be maximum points for almost both teams, but bit of a shame there. But Santry still not close to the back of a Blaze, but he was closer this lap as he was on the last lap as well. Jax is closing too, 4.3 seconds, so the more these two battle, Jax can close in as well. Devin, CC Brain still on this train by themselves with Andrea. Kryptonite closing in a bit more as well. Still not making a move, binding their time right now. It's nice that they're doing this at the moment. We'll see people go for the moves, I would assume, in the final few laps. We could see a move here as well, but surely they must have been told about the incident with Valentine and Cazzizzle, and that is why Santry is just staying back for the time being and just being a little bit patient, because you would want to get to the end of this race. Surviving is just more important for some of these guys now, because we're already down 4 drivers in Monaco. I have to say that is better than some other Monaco races I've commentated on, but still, I think most of them have been pit lane retirements. There was no on-track retirements this race. It was pit lane retirements due to the fact that they had incidents with other drivers earlier on, but we've still got pretty much half of this race still left to go. Sora, the only driver yet to pit, but he will be going on the soft in about 8 laps time, and they're going to be mega fast, but he's still...
Big log up for a Blaze. This could be a chance for Santry. He's already interrupted, but surely Santry might feel there's an opportunity. He's onto the ERS, he's on the button, and I think a Blaze is aware that that was the potential move. Santry tries to psych his rival out. Like I said, there's a big lock-up into the Rascats, but look at that. The ERS is Santry's loss because he wasn't quite able to make it work, but that shows that a Blaze is feeling the pressure.
Yeah, he is. He definitely is feeling the pressure, scoring his first points of the season. If he could keep this up as well, no penalties too. So, you know, with Santry, he could take the lead of the championship. So both of them will be writing history in their championships this season. With Valentin has got another penalty. So I think Dino will jump Valentin and potentially get points. But we'll see if Santry could take the risk here, which I don't think he's going to do so as well. But Santry is a faster driver. You can see with the lap pace and the lap times that he's producing right now on track. A Blaze is just surviving. We've seen that with the likes of Ricardo in Monaco a few years ago. He was slower than the likes of Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen, but he was still able to keep them behind. That's what we're seeing with a Mercedes driver. And we're just showing, despite that lockup, that pretty much overtaking is not impossible, but very hard. And position, track position is key, as we potentially got a move, as we got Devin on the back of CC Bray. This could get very, very spicy indeed. Santry didn't get past the Blaze, but we could see Devin trying to go up the inside of CC Bray. Does he go for it? No, he doesn't, but that was so close into Raskath there.
It was, yeah. He was almost running the outside. He had such a good run through the swimming pool chicanes, and the room was there, but if he'd went for it, it might have just been a bit tight. So he decided to back away from it, but he seems most desperate to pass the them on this track. I think he knows he's got pace, but he's not quite able to use it. As you see, there are moves still happening. Alexis has just gone down the inside of Tabak on Louis to get through into 13th place. Again, showing the difference in tires. This is important to note. That, look, new tires are able to get overtakes done. It is happening. Nicolo isn't going to be in a bad position here because he's kept the pace nicely to a Blaze. He'll be a good second lap quicker than him per lap. Every lap, potentially, to the end of this race. He'll pit probably... When do we reckon he'll pit? Probably late 20s, maybe even mid 20s. I mean,
yeah.
Late stage of the race, you can get Salt a decent amount of the way. So, he should be in a decent position, I'd hope. But, yeah, we'll see.
To get to the end on those soft tyres, I would say lap 25, lap 26. A bit of a push, I think, I would say, for Soro. But I think for the undercut, for him to actually try and close in onto those medium runners on the train to go onto those soft tyres, I would say lap 24 for Soro. We've seen that last season as well in F2, people do that, and it's worked well. We've seen that in quite a few editions of esports cups as well, where we saw the likes of Casper, for example, go for moves there as well, where he had battle in Monaco as well. That was memories to behold as well. And Valentina still has a set of the hard tyres that he hasn't used yet. He is definitely running out of tyres, isn't he? So he's coming in to the pits once again, and he's going to be on the harder tyre out of everybody. They're going to be struggling for grip at this late stage of the race, and we've got Sora that's going to be on the soft tyres. I'm guessing he's going to be the only one on those soft tyres. I'm surprised a few people didn't go onto another set of mediums, but I'm guessing they didn't have any left as well. A Blade is almost closing in onto the back of Soro, but this could get feisty. We don't want a Blaze and Santry to just fight Soro for this, because surely they'll know that Soro has to pit again, but they don't know the tyres lifespans of the drivers unless they ask their Jeff. As he retires in the pit lane, I'm surprised he didn't retire earlier because he's had some incidents, but to be honest, he realised that there was no way he was going to gain positions from a lap down of everybody else, so that makes it the 5th retirement of this Monaco Grand Prix in the F2 tier.
Yes, and wonder if we'll get any more. It depends how these fights end up going. I think we do have Andrea's going to end up holding a train of what? We think about 5 cars, possibly 6 when Baraka gets involved. And
Valentin's out the race.
In the pits as well. So we're down to 14 now. But let's say this train is going to get interesting soon because you're going to have Nicolo trying to get through all of this. And this will be the first big test for him because he will have to get through this. And this is where the big action point is going to be later on in the race, I imagine. Unless Santry goes for some sort of moves. A few of these cars retiring in front of a Blaze might just distract him now a little bit. Along with the fact that, well, is there any lapped cars he'd be trying to catch? I'm not sure we'd be getting quite to that point just yet, but it might be worth thinking about for later on if people keep struggling. because there are some big gaps out there.
Alexis is a lap down, the only driver that's a lap down in the moment. Louis is quite close to being a lap, same with Kazizel and Ricky, but apart from that, everybody else should be fine as everyone's trying to negotiate Valentine's AI car there around Monaco, which is, that's why the yellow flags are there. But I think most people seem to have got past that Ferrari car. As we are at the stage where this could get very, very intense there, as that was almost a penalty for Santry there as well. That could have made things even spicier for the race, of course. Jax, don't forget, has got a time penalty as well. So even if Jax gets onto this train, well, the top three, they haven't got any penalties so far, as a Blaze lost a bit of time there and through Raskas. This could be the Blaze's big, well, not the Blaze, it's Santry's big break. But again, still not quite close enough. Devon's looking quite close onto Raskas again. Similar to what it was 4 or 5 laps ago, I think, but a little bit cleaner from Devon. He was just so keen to get past both of them as well. But we will see. No overtakes for the past 5 or 6 laps, I think. No clean overtakes, to say the least. But Devon looks like he's a closer man to get the overtake, but he just can't get it done, just like with Santry at the moment. But he's got to get it done soon because we've got Soro that will be pitting soon on those soft tyres. That was all Devon. That was almost a bit of a slide there.
The problem that they're coming up against is that the leader, Nicolo, is going to be coming up on the back of Louis in a second to lap him, and it'll possibly even happen. Yes, it's happening now, and a Blaze will end up having to lap him too, and Santry might see this as an opportunity. You can see the blue flags are waving, so it'll have to happen. I wonder if this might even promote a pit stop here from Nicolo, just to make sure he doesn't get involved in any of this. He's gone through. Will a Blaze get some DRS? There's a potential for some DRS. Nicolo does stay out. Will a Blaze get some DRS off this? No, he won't. But Louis will just happily let them go through. So luckily it didn't distract too much. But Santry still has a really nice closing speed, and he has a look on the inside of turn 1. Hits him into the wall. That will surely be a safety car. He's just about still in the race, but that is absolutely, to me anyway, going to the stewards. And that would mean Andrea, despite the pace deficit, could, with the lack of penalties, be on for a win here. And I may not be looking or sounding too surprised by that one, but unfortunately, you could see that one coming, couldn't you?
Yes, I think Santry was and a Blaze, they both were a little bit impatient to get the move done there, and that's what it's come down to. We're just seeing impatient drivers at the moment, and I think that's going to allow people who have been just minding their own business to gain a lot of time. And there we go, Jax has got past the broken front wing car of a Blaze. He's now on the podiums. Santry's got a penalty now, so...
Look at Andrea and this big train, Jess. Look at the massive train, and it's going to have to navigate all this through the chicanes. And the reason I'm saying that Santry might not be winning this race now is because I have a feeling that a stewards panel would deem that his fault. So that's why I'm saying that, because he did sort of nudge the Mercedes into the wall. It wasn't a big hit, but it was enough. But, well, that's a Blaze into the pits. That's Jax quite far behind Santry, and with a penalty. Santry also has penalties. Nicolo, the further this goes on, Andrea now with penalties. Possibly even CC Brains in the picture for this win now. But Nicolo will have such good tyres, and that's 4 cars. He doesn't have to worry about overtaking, because as long as he keeps it penalty free, he'll be on such fast tyres. He will only have to worry about a couple of cars here. So this is really interesting. As it stands, Red Bull could be on for a 1-2 if Jax and Santry fall back a little bit more. It's just interesting to see how this all pans out. How is this thing going to go? A safety car right now, again, we keep saying it, will blow this thing wide open, but they've tried as hard as they possibly can to bring one out, and it doesn't happen yet, so I'm not entirely sure if it's going to happen. But, yeah, what's going to happen next today?
Yes, it seems to me the lead for the race, the net race of the lead, has changed multiple times, and we can count at the moment between the likes of Blaze, Santry, the likes of Tom as well, and yeah, pretty much. The looks like the points that Mercedes was going to get was going to be massive gains, but with a Blaze with front wing damage, he's just in the points, to be fair, so he'll still get his first point of the season, but surely he would have wanted a podium or a win. And Santry's now caught up to Soro now, and Soro has not pitted. I thought he would have pitted a lap ago, but he's still out on those medium tyres.
What's happened there? But how's he caught so quick?
I don't know.
Oh, I missed something there. Like, what has he done? Nicolo, has he had a mistake or something?
Or maybe his tyres are wearing, I think. Yeah. Crossover point. He's locked up. Surely this could be the move for Santry, which he does not. I think he's, after the incident he had with the blade, I don't think he's going to risk it, I think, with Soro.
Yeah. I guess I know they were 2 seconds apart. I don't know, I just sort of expected Santry might have struggled a bit more to catch as he has, but that might well be a pit stop happening soon for Nicolo if the closing keeps happening like this. Because we need him to pit, don't we, to get a proper picture of this race, because there's so many penalties, so many potential stewards investigations to happen after the race. Anyone could be the winner. The 3 penalties in this top 6 are all 3-second penalties, and with the way intervals are, that means that Santry would be net race leader, and when the checker flag flies, he'd win the race. CC Brain would move up a position into what might be 3rd, we think, possibly.
We can't do maths.
and then Kryptonite would move up ahead of Devin, and that would be into 4th or something like that. So we'll see how it all pans out, but it all depends on what's going to happen with Nicolo, because he's the one that we're waiting on, and there's yellow flags in that big train. So what's happened there?
I think it was a blaze there.
Are they just going so slowly now that they have to? Well, you know, are they just that tight now, those guys, that they don't want to run into each other?
I think they saw what happened with pretty much most people out there. I think most of them was turn 1, and for most of them was the Milbo chicane as well. So that's what's happened. Nicolo stays out. I think he's doing it. He's staying out until the tyres can pretty much keep it that way, because the tyres can last 29 laps. So I think he's going to probably wait till then. But again, he's going to lose. He's not going to lose that much time, but the more he stays out, he's going to lose a bit more time and less chance for him to try and get in a good fight. He's going to get points regardless, I think, the way this is going, because Louis 55 seconds behind the nearest point scorer. So, and don't forget, Sora is a reserve driver. He's filling in for Yannick this week, and he got DNF last week. So I thought Monaco was harder than Silverstone, but for Sora, he probably was not expecting this. But I'm not going to say anything more. I'm going to jinx him, as Alexis has been lapped again.
That's Alexis unlapping himself, and since he goes through the cars, that'll be a massive distraction. Nicolo's just got to keep his eyes on the roads here, just try to ignore that Ferrari, because that is such a big distraction. It could have you in the wall, but luckily both Santry and Nicolo haven't been sort of in trouble with that. In fact, Nicolo will get some DRS now too, and he needs it, because that was a big slide out of the final corner. I tell you, if he didn't have DRS there, Santry was going for that.
Yeah, Santry
might still go for it. He's going for it up the hill. Oh, is there any room? He's trying to find it on the inside. Down the inside, he hits another car out of the lead of the race. He's done it twice, says Santry. He's knocked his 2 rivals off the road, and the stewards will be having a field day with this, as Nicolo gets shoved off the road and out of the lead. I mean, what do we think the stewards will say about that one? Or maybe I'm being too harsh, because it is Monaco after all. It is a tight track, but you can't knock 2 people off, surely. The first one you could say, well, it's an accident. Second one, reckless.
Yeah, so we saw as he scored, had a bit of problems causing incidents last week, and he got a quali ban. If he keeps this up for Santry, he'll probably get a quali ban next week, which is not ideal, but he's not losing that much time. Well, he is to Santry, but we got Kryptonite that's got past Baraka. Baraka could be leading the championship going into the next round, which I believe it's France.
Has Kryptonite had an accident? Has he got a broken front line?
Let me have a look.
Yes, he does.
He does.
He's broke his front line.
Baraka's closing into him.
Yeah, because they've lost 7 seconds. This might help Nicolo come out in front of these 2. That could be really important. Look how slow Kryptonite's going. This is really bad. And he's staying out as well. He's staying out. This is going to really affect Baraka. Where's the Williams going to be? They'll still be ahead, but the Kryptonite being so slow Niccolo will be all over this on this lap. As side by side up the hill goes Baraka and Kryptonite. We saw this on the last lap with the race leaders. We saw it not end well there. Baraka does get through. Blaze is ahead of Niccolo as well, despite of his accident. And he'll be catching Kryptonite soon. But now Niccolo on the best tyres, he's just going to do, well, the best he can. And if he can get up towards that sort of train where Andrea is, possibly, that's where he'll be aiming for. So we'll see if he can manage that. But he's got 10 laps to do it, and Kryptonite, well, that'll certainly fall into his grasp sooner rather than later, because the Red Bull is heavily, heavily wounded. And a Blaze has hit him as well. And that's not a surprise because of the way he's cut the corner too. I don't know if someone's had Kryptonite on the wall, because the way he's driving, he seems to be driving almost angry.
Ooh, that was so close.
Yeah, like he's had his race ruined by someone else, and he can't believe it. But unfortunately, it's sort of wrecking a Blaze's time as well. And will it be in the pits this time? Will it be retirement as well, possibly? Because he doesn't seem happy at all, just Kryptonite. But he will stay out because he'll get the fastest lap, probably. Although he hasn't put softs
and he'll still get points. He'll still get points because his nearest rival's about 50 seconds behind.
About a minute off. So he could have put softs on there and went for the fastest lap as well. But yeah, whatever happened there, it feels like Kryptonite's driving like he was put in the wall, and it's like almost a I can't believe this is happening to me type sort of incident.
The steward's office is going to be so busy, I think, tonight with F2 and probably other tiers as well. But I think
I said to you before the race, Jess. So I thought a little bit of carnage. We don't mind it. I'm sorry, stewards, because this is possibly my fault. I did ask. I did sort of say, wouldn't this be cool if? And it's happening. So yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of like you're like a little magnet or something like that. But to be fair, Baraka has been the one that's done the overtake on some drivers and made it stick. So I have to say Baraka has been my star of the show so far. CC Brain and Devin having still a good battle with Andrea. I'm surprised they're keeping into this train still. They're keeping it massively clean as well. That's how you race at Monaco. Around 39 laps of this Monaco Grand Prix, so they're going to try and keep it steady at the moment. Devin, I think, knows what has happened. He knows that we're down 7 drivers already, and he knows he has a good chance for a top 5 finish if he just could keep it on the road. Same with the likes of CC Brain as well, and Andrea with the penalty though. So CC Brain will be on the podium. Has Alexis gets another penalty? Will that be another retirement? Yes, it is.
Yes. We're down to 12 then, but none of them have happened on track, which is why we've had no safety cars for it. And I tell you, like I say, we'll still keep saying it, and just in case it happens, a safety car now at this stage would still flip everything on its head. And with Niccolo desperately trying to get by a Blaze, he's been looking everywhere. And look at Baraka. How they caught Baraka like that? Is Baraka slowed down?
Ricky's out. Oh, you just.
Oh
yeah, it was a pit lane retirement. I thought it was on track.
Yeah. So they're both going to challenge Baraka now up the hill, and there's a Ferrari up there too that they're all navigating. Baraka, his last lap, he lost a little bit of time. He's losing a little bit of time every sort of lap here.
His tyres are dead. His tyres are dead, so.
Well, that could be a sign of punctures later on, couldn't it? As Niccolo still tries on the inside and can't make it work. And, the 2 Mercedes are going to be scrapping in a second as Niccolo taps the wall. But Baraka, seemingly, he's lost all this time because he just hasn't got the grip. And if we see tyres going as early as this, if we see a puncture for Baraka in the next lap or two, then you'd be looking to the race leader, Santre, and thinking, his tyres aren't much further away from this. So, stay tuned for the tyres, because that is a development I wasn't expecting, actually, because we sort of thought the tyres would be okay, but Baraka's is certainly not.
Yes, I think Baraka is just struggling for grip right now. His tyres, surely it's on the 60-70% margin at the moment, and you've seen the way Blaze is driving.
He's passing him. Down the inside, late on the brakes, Blaze. He hits his teammate. He's hit him. Niccolo gets through as well. Can he have a try at the hill? He knows what happens when it happened to him. He got put in the wall, and so that's why he's not going to go for it on a Blaze this time. But they both get by Baraka. There was a bit of contact, but no damage was caused. And they can move on with their race then, and try and get up to the back of Devon, because Devon obviously has a 3-second penalty. This would put both of these guys in a fight for at least the top 6.
So, not that long to go until the end of this race. Santry on track is leading this race from Jack in P2. And I will keep an eye on the penalties. As it stands, Santry will win, but the incidents that he's been involved in will be investigated by the stewards. So, the race result will definitely go to the stewards. So, Santry winning on track at least may not be the win in Monaco in F2. We'll have to wait and see. We will keep you informed, of course, next week when we head to France as to what has happened. So, and to be fair, with the way Jax is driving, he could be on course to be winning this race if Santry is to be found at fault with those incidents. So, he's going to drive like his life depends on it. CC Brain, so close to the back of Andrea, but again, not close enough. And these two have been driving also like their life has depended on it. Someone's binned it. That's Louis.
Yeah, he's hit the inside curve at Nouvelle Chicane. It's just put him round. His teammate laps him. That could have been so easily a safety car again. They're getting away with this one tonight, aren't they? Oh, he's hit the wall again.
Could be another retirement, which means...
Oh, I'd hope not.
I hope not too, because Louis, to be fair, even though he may not get a point at this stage, there could be another retirement. And if there's another retirement, Louis will get points regardless. So he just got to... So you got to keep going, because you never know what could happen here. If he hits the wall and pretty much retired himself anyway, then that's probably ruined his race. But he's going to keep going. As, again, not many major moves at this stage. Devon's still using more ERS, and he's running out compared to CC Braid. CC Braid on 44%. He's dropped to the back of Andreas. So I wonder if CC Braid is struggling on his tyres too. Yes, he could be. So I wonder, this could be good news if you are a Blaze, because he's on 11 lap of tyres. Maybe getting damaged 11 laps ago maybe was a saving grace for him, because he knows that the guys in front could be struggling for grip, and he's already captured to this train. Same with Sora as well. So stay strapped in. This could be an exciting finish, hopefully. But a Blaze will hope that the guys in front tyres will start to die, and he could be on potentially. Actually, he could be on for 4th place, because Devon has got a penalty. So yeah, Blaze could be on for... Actually, no, not 4th place, because the top 3, they're just... Well, the top 2 are running away with it, so they're going to be 1 and 2. And as I just said, a Blaze has got a 3 seconds, so... Yeah, I will shut up with talking about a Blaze in the pits. He must be frustrated. Surely he's going to go for fastest lap? Yes, he's going to go for fastest lap. So I don't blame him, to be honest.
Yeah. So you might as well, that should be a fastest lap he'll get then, but unfortunately it's a couple of points losers. On the plus side, it's points he's given to his teammate, assuming his tyres get to the end, because he will have done nearly the whole race on them. But, well, he's still got 3 laps to survive on these. And a Blaze will come out in the points, and he will just be going to go for a fast lap to get the 2 points on the board. CC Brain doesn't really have a reason to go for a move on Andrea, but he is still saving his ERS just in case. It's more, I'd imagine, to defend from any attack from Devon, just because it is for a podium spot. Nicolo, however, will be the one who's the real threat, I guess, but he's not got much ERS. These last 2.5 laps for these guys will be potentially quite tense. I'm fascinated to see how this one's going to end.
Yeah, hopefully someone will just go for a move and a clean move, and then that will be up them up a position. That's what we all hope as well. But we know the top 2 will be like this at the moment, but the question is who's going to get the podium. Dino gets another penalty, so we'll keep you involved with the penalty situation. Actually, that is his first penalty. So that's good news for Kryptonite, so he's going to stay in P8. So he likes his P8s and P7s and P9s at the moment, doesn't he, Louis? So he is going to still finish this race in the points, even though he was frustrated with himself. Maybe he should have gone on the soft. Nicola almost got on the inside of Devon.
Well, he's done that. He could have made that work.
He could
He's
have.
run out of time to make it work, because if he gets past Devon, then he has a straight fight with CC Brain for the podium, and he could have done that, but he decided not to. Could that cost him the podium? Or will he have another go into the Nouvelle Chicane? He's on the ERS, he's closing in. Remember how he went for Tom earlier on in the race? And Nicolo, again, not going for the move. Just using ERS, but not actually, well, using it for anything useful, unfortunately.
Yeah, he's not. So
it's a bit of a waste.
Well, still, Sora has gained quite a few positions. I believe he started 11th or 10th in this race. Yeah, he started 11th because he started on the mediums. So he could be still on for a decent result. And he will get 5th. Yeah, he will get 5th place because Devon's on the penalty. And after all that, we're on the final lap of this race as Santry goes through to that and heading towards the tunnel now. But the race results could change, so take that with a pinch of salt. But at the moment, Santry could be on course to be winning the race, and at the moment, provisionally, will be leading the championship.
Well, the thing is as well, they'd have to give him a pretty massive penalty to take the win away from him. So it'd be interesting to see, really, if those incidents are deemed as fault, because if they aren't, he could well win the race. I don't think he'd quite take the championship lead, because Baraka is scoring in 7th place. That'll keep him well in the lead. Yeah, so it's a good recovery from him after the qualifying, assuming his tyres don't go and put him in the wall. But regardless, here comes Santry, the provisional race winner here in Monaco. He's made a massive gap, so he's done all he can after the incidents to try and make sure he's in a position where he doesn't get sent all the way down. Frankly, at worst, he'll probably end up 2nd place. I don't think they'll give him a 30-second penalty, but we'll see. Jack's come home 2nd. Will that become P1?
Oh my goodness! That was so close for Raskas.
Here comes that quartet then. Andrea will be replaced by CC Brain on the podium. Nicolo will end up 4th, Andrea 5th, with Devon in 6th. And, or 7th actually, sorry. Andrea 5th, Baraka. So Baraka, yeah, that really has gone well. 38 laps on those tyres, and they've survived the distance. 6th place, really nice recovery from P12 on the grid. And that accident on lap 1. And Kryptonite comes home 8th, Ablaze 9th. And then we'll see where that last point goes. Dino crossed the line in 10th. Obviously,
Louis was a lap down.
Isn't available for Louis.
Louis was a lap down, so yeah, Dino is 10th.
But who in the points got the fastest lap? Because there was a lot of pit stops going on late on. A lot of trains as well. So let's just see who gets the fastest lap. It's Ablaze, so he gets 2 points. But yes, very provisional, these results. Because the race winner, as of now, could theoretically be under investigation for 2 separate incidents where he's put people, or at least hit people, out of his way. Not intentionally. I'm not calling him a bad driver or anything. I'm not trying to say he's done it bad. It's just mistakes being made. But it does make it a provisional result.
Yes, and it is Monaco, so it might be frowned upon a little bit. It may have been slap on the wrist for Santry, but you never know. You never know.
This is it. He's made a big enough gap. It could mean he still gets a good chunk of points.
So yeah, that is still good points in the championship and a three-way fight potentially for the championship so far. So we'll run through your results then before we potentially get people in for interviews. Santry wins from Jack, CC Brain, Soro, Andrea, Baraka, Devon, Kryptonite, Ablaze, and Dino are your top 10. And your final finisher, believe it or not, is Louis, a lap down. Well, 3 laps down actually. But to be fair play to him for finishing. He gets the Endeavour Award for this race. But we've had Ricky, Alexis, Cazidal, Valentin, Azzy, Pat, Legend, Tom, Cohen, all retired, and they were all pit lane retirements. So that was the Monaco Grand Prix in the F2 tier. I was expecting a bit of carnage, not that much carnage, I have to say, around this race.
Yeah, but we got there in the end. We got a race done, and it was an interesting one for the amount of drivers we lost so early on. It still decently gave us something to watch, so fair enough for that. And luckily, we're going to France next week, which last season was one of the most exciting races thanks to the weather conditions and the general just racing. I mean, it's a great track for racing, so Monaco should be a really good one next week.
You mean
Or
France?
France. Yes, I do mean
We're at
France.
Monaco this week, but yeah,
Yeah, we've had enough Monaco.
yeah. Thank goodness. I think we were hyped there was going to be an exciting race, but it just ended up being quite a bit of carnage. But yeah, France last season. Well, if you haven't watched it, I do recommend you check it out. It's still on the YouTube channel. Check it out, watch it, because it was amazing. Baraka just missed out on the win as well. He was a beast on the wet conditions as well. There were so many good battles as well. We didn't know which strategy was the right one as well. And most France races I've commentated on, it was changeable conditions or it was wet affected. So I am usually not very excited about France, but because of what has happened on this game, pretty much I am very, very excited as well. Let's see if anyone's waiting in the interview box for the podium interviews. Not at the moment. Well, whilst we wait for that, Owen, who is your driver of the day today?
So many. I think you could pick a couple of them, because I'd say Jax, in fairness, kept it very clean, and that was difficult to do. It could result in a race win for him, so he could be a contender. Nicolo and Baraka as well. There'd be three sort of contenders, because those two did well with what they had outside the top 10. Baraka, in terms of a strategy context, that was really important for him. So I'm a bit torn, to be honest, but do you know what? We'll give it to Jax just because he survived the turn 1 mess. He's been consistent the whole race, and it could result in a race victory for him, which for him maybe might feel like it sort of came out of nowhere, but he'll definitely take it if it comes.
He didn't even need to overtake. He didn't even need to overtake as many cars to get what he did, which I have to say is quite incredible. And speaking of Jax, he wants to be interviewed right now, so we're going to try and get him in as thank you, Louis, for trying to help Jack, for trying to get into the interview booth. We'll be interested to see how he's found his race. He probably wasn't even expecting to get P2. I have to say, I give my drive of the day to Jax as well for keeping it clean throughout as well. Even with the penalty he got throughout the race, that was still enough to get P2 as well. And to be fair, all the races he's done so far, it was a reserve driver. Surely, if the likes of Yannick doesn't show up for another race, surely Kryptonite and Connor and the rest of the directors team will think that Jack will need a full-time seat, because I believe every race that he's took part in so far, he has scored points. So,
Indeed. Look at that, we have got Jax in the waiting room. We're going to get an interview.
yay! For the first time this season. So,
wow.
So Jack gets the honour of being interviewed for the first time in F2 this season. So here we go, we're going to drag him in. So we'll get the interview scene up. Jax, can you hear us before we start? Doesn't look like he can hear us, unfortunately. Jax, are you there?
There we go.
Hello?
There we go. Finally, Jax, congratulations on your P2 around Monaco of all places. Were you expecting that after the carnage that happened in that race?
Definitely not. This is my first league race at Monaco with no line, so
Wow.
it was going to be interesting to see how it went. And I did hit the wall, and the AI drove me into the pit lane, so I had a bit of damage, but it wasn't too much to affect my race.
Yeah, it just shows that you do not give up. And considering it's your first race in Monaco with no line, that just makes your performance even more impressive as well. Talk us through that start as well, because there was obviously a few carnage behind. What did you do to try and make sure you didn't get involved in as much in the carnage?
I just made sure I just stayed out of trouble, not go near anyone too close, because I knew some people might just not think someone's there and close it, like what happened to Andrea and Legend, I think. So I just made sure I wasn't near anyone, and yeah, just didn't want to have any accidents into turn 1.
Yeah, it looks like you were in a battle midway through the race as well, with the likes of Andrea. You were with a battle with Tom as well. And when you saw people drop like flies as well, how did that change your approach going into the final stint of this race? Were you just concentrating on just keeping the car alive, do you think?
I was just focusing on, just not hitting the wall, and just just be consistent every lap to make sure I get jumped or anything with the penalties. So yeah.
Yeah, because your performance, what I have to say, very, very brilliant. Owen, do you have any questions for Jack?
Well, I just want to say, first of all, congratulations on the podium. And just want to quickly ask, see being a reserve then, how much do you feel that makes a difference to other drivers when they're racing you? Because I feel sometimes you'd find if you're a reserve, people maybe give you a little bit more respect because they think you won't be there every week. But you've been in all 3 races so far, and if you get the win tonight, if Santry gets any penalties, you could still end up being in a fight for the title race. So how do you think that's going to go if you end up full time?
I would love to be full time, but it's all about. I'm fine with being a reserve at the moment because everyone has their own seats and stuff. But I would love to love to get the win, but it just depends on what penalties people get these days. So yeah, I'm excited for the rest of the season, and I do hope to get a full time seat, but it's not possible. It's like, yeah, no chance.
And going into France next week as well, if you are racing, which 9 times out of 10 you probably likely will be racing, but just in case if you are racing, what are your thoughts around this track? And with you being a reserve, how does that how do you approach going into France knowing that you may be racing or you might not be racing, if that makes sense, in terms of practicing?
I just practice as much as I can if I'm like a full-time driver, just in case I do get a seat. It's better than not practicing and getting a seat at the last minute. So yeah.
Yeah. Congratulations on your first podium of the season, I believe, and you'll be hopefully looking to get another one maybe next week if you are racing. Congratulations, Jack.
Thank you.
Right,
well done.
Is there anybody waiting else in the interview? Oh, we got another
Yes,
one.
we do.
I'll let you do this one. CC Brain, I believe, who also had a good result as well after the carnage that unfolded as well. So I will add him into the commentary box, and there we go.
There we go. Can you hear us, CC Brain?
I can.
Very good. So, I've got to first of all say, podium, were you even considering that to be a possibility after qualifying?
I was considering a win, to be honest. No, but for real, like it was a good race for me. Yeah, shame I got stuck behind Andrea for like 30 laps, like the whole race, basically. And I'm thinking he also can remove a penalty, so it might not be a podium after all.
Were you aware of all the other incidents going on around you then? Because there's chances you could even still be moved up in the standings with all the stuff that's been happening with the likes of Santry at the front. So were you aware of everything that was going on and how did that affect your strategy in the race?
Yeah, luckily I had a race engineer, and she told me like it was crazy going on around me. Like first lap, I think 7 people pitted or something, and then obviously like some Terry passed some people, I believe. Maybe more clean or not, I don't know. That's what the stewards have to decide. But yeah, like it helped me, to be honest, so can't complain.
And how were those last couple of laps when you had Nicolo closing in on you with the better tyres? Obviously you had a car in between you and him, but were you concerned about him possibly trying to put a challenge on you at the end?
Not really. I had Devin behind, and I knew it would be hard for him to pass. Because I couldn't even pass Andrea, who had, I believe, wing damage. So I didn't really think he could pass the car behind, and then he had to pass me as well. So I wasn't really concerned about him, to be honest.
All right, Jess, you got anything?
Well, as I was saying to the guy who finished on the podium in P2, France is next week. You saw what happened last season with the changeable conditions. Are you going to hope that it's a dry race this time and you probably would have a little bit more of an easier race?
Yeah, I believe last year in France was my best track or my best result. So I think France is a good track for me and could work out. Hopefully.
Oh, that is good. Then you got another good track coming your way as well, and hopefully a huge haul of points for you. Congratulations, CC Brain, a potential podium position at the Monaco Grand Prix. We'll let you go and celebrate.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Right then, so I don't think we would be having an interview with Santry at the moment, who won the race. So that is it then for the Monaco Grand Prix. That is it for the podium interviews as well. So we were going to wrap up the stream. But before we go, Owen, any final thoughts?
Well, as I said before, very much looking forward to France next week. It was an absolute classic last season. I hope you're all here to join us, and yeah, it'll be a great race.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well. But if you want some more Monaco Grand Prix action, we still got some final PlayStation tiers on right now. We, of course, got the top PlayStation tier on as they've just started their race. So if you want to go and check that out, please do. We also got F5 and I believe F8 and F9 on at the moment too, and F6. If you want to check those out, please do. And we've also got the start of the French Grand Prix action with PC Tier 1 on Wednesday night at 7 PM with full qualifying. And then we got the other PC tier streamed on Thursday. And then we'll be back same time, same place, 10 PM UK time for the French Grand Prix for our tier. Once again, thank you for joining us. And you have myself and Aaron in the commentary box. We will let you go and enjoy the rest of your day. We will see you next week for the French Grand Prix. Goodbye.